Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for May 22nd, 2017. Before we get started, if everybody could check their electronic device and ensure that it's turned off, please. And the second notice would be if anyone plans on speaking for or against a petition before addressing the board, if you could sign in at the podium with your name and address. Our first matter before us is under continuances. This is ZB 2017-5. This petition's a special permit. The applicant is GPG Varnum LLC, property located at 557 Varnum Ave. Petition, the proposal consists of a change in use from nursing home to multifamily residential with 18 units with 31 parking spaces and any other relief required. The proposed project is located in the suburban single-family zoning district and requires special permit approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals under Article 4.52, non-conforming uses of the Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief required. Good evening, Mr. Geary. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Attorney Stephen Geary, and I represent Saeed Coates, who's the principal of GPG Varnum LLC. I think you have a letter dated May 11th that we formally requested a withdrawal of this petition and the explanation as to why. Additionally, I believe that you did receive tonight, as I did for the first time, a stipulation of dismissal with regard to the appeal that was signed by my client's counsel, the counsel for Louisa Varnum, as well as the city's law department. So based upon that, that leaves the November 2015 approval from this board intact, and my client has made the decision to go forward on that. So we're requesting a withdrawal. We didn't want to delay the board any further based upon the comments at the last hearing. We understood that, and we did not want to delay the board any further, and his decision to move forward on his 2015 approval from this board makes sense based upon the stipulation of dismissal that you see now. The only thing that we're waiting for is the official order of dismissal from the court, and that could take anywhere from a matter of days to several weeks. It's just a ministerial task that just has to be done. But we don't anticipate any opposition to that. Certainly the city signed off on it, Mr. Coates' attorney and Louisa Varnum's attorney. So it effectively ends the appeal process. As you know, we wanted to outline in the letter that Mr. Coates now has 31 parking spots, so he's approved for 13 units. That is a 2-to-1 ratio for 15, so he's looking for a path to be able to address that issue with the city law department and come back here with a meeting of the minds to do that. So we do anticipate the possibility of coming before this board on another date, but I wanted to make it clear just as to why we're here tonight withdrawing this petition, or requesting to withdraw this petition. Okay. And my client's here, and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Sure. Well, I would, as I stated at the last meeting, not that I was hoping for this day, but I pretty much anticipated that something would be submitted, either you'd be going forward or withdrawing. So based on the documents that we received and the understanding that the board has, this board will take a vote to withdraw the petition for the ZB 2017-5.
Okay.
Great. All right, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, in the matter before us, I make a motion to withdraw.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey?
Approve with withdrawal.
Member Peck?
Approve withdrawal.
Member Palia?
Approve withdrawal.
Member Callahan?
Approve withdrawal.
Member McCarthy?
Approve the withdrawal.
Okay, Attorney Geary and Mr. Coates, wish you the best of luck
Great.
with the project that you currently have, and we'll see what happens in the
Okay,
future.
great. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you. Okay, next matter before us is under new business. This is ZB 2017-21. The petition's a variance. The applicant is Stephen Rodriguez. Property is located at 71 Humphrey Street, and the petition The petitioner is seeking variance approval for a project at 71 Humphrey Street. The proposal involves construction of a new driveway in the traditional single-family zoning district and requires variance for setbacks under section 6.11, dimensional requirements for off-street parking and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Is Mr. Rodriguez in attendance? Yes, sir. How are you,
Hi.
sir?
Good
How are
evening.
you? Good. Mr. Rodriguez, before we get started, I just have to ask one question. On your property, there was a requirement for a posting for this meeting this evening.
Okay.
Are you aware of anything that's been posted on your property, either on your home or on your lot?
That
A
hap-
public notice?
No, no.
Okay. A few of the board members had noticed nothing was posted, and that's a
Okay.
requirement of the board. And this has happened before with other petitions, so don't think you did anything,
Okay.
incorrectly. Unfortunately, that's one of the rules that we have, is that it needs to be publicly posted.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yep.
How to go about that. I didn't know,
Okay.
where to put it.
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna continue it, and like I say, don't think of this as, you got a black mark on it. What I would suggest that you do is call the department up, the planning department, you can call Christine or somebody else in the department, and just run through with them exactly how it needs to be posted and where it needs to be posted,
Okay.
just so when you come in the next time. So I do, if I can just go to the, Christine, if we're gonna continue this, so based on the posting, are we looking at 2 meetings out, or can this be accomplished in the
It
next?
has to be 14 days.
Yep.
So, it probably could do the next meeting, but we have kind of a busy agenda, so if you want to push it off 2 more, it's up to you.
You said it could be on the next agenda?
It could be done at the next meeting,
If we, what's the date of the next meeting?
June 12th.
June 12th. So we can do one of two things. We can move it to June 12th,
Okay.
and, or we can go to the meeting after that. That's,
Yeah, I think the sooner the better would.
Sure,
That's.
sure. I just wanted to check with the city
yeah,
to make
that's fine.
sure everything was fine.
Okay.
So we're going to continue it to June 12th,
Okay.
and as I stated, you might just want to check with the city and find out exactly how it needs to be posted, and
Okay.
then we'll reconvene on the 12th.
Okay.
Um,
It's too bad.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to give you the news, but
Yeah.
this isn't the first time it's happened, so I just want you to
Okay.
know that, so, all right, so if I could have a motion, please, to continue this to June 12th.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I make a motion, the motion for us to continue to our next meeting on June 12th.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey?
Continue to June 12th.
Member Peck?
Continue.
Member Palia?
Continue to June 12th.
Member Callahan?
Continue to June 12th.
Member McCarthy?
Continue to June 12th.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, we'll see you on
All
June
set?
12th.
All right,
Thank you
great.
very much.
Thanks. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2017-22, petitions of variance. The applicant is Kronos, property located at 900 Chelmsford Street, and the petitioner is seeking special permit and variance approval at 900 Chelmsford Street. The proposal consists of mounting 4 internally illuminated wall signs and 1 internally illuminated canopy sign. And 1 requires a special permit and variance from the zoning, and one printed translucent vinyl sign in the high-rise commercial zoning district. The proposed project requires a special permit and variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals under section 6.3 of the Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief required.
Mr. Chairman, my
Evening,
name's
sir.
Philip Nyman. I'm an attorney in Lowell at 385 Gorham Street, and I represent the applicant Kronos Company. To my left is Mr. Travis Blake. He is going to, with your permission, in fact, he's already on the TV screen, he's going to explain what exactly is going to happen, what's going to go on, and I've instructed him that he is to go strictly by the book and just make the presentation, and he created it, and you'll find that it's a very helpful, very knowledgeable production. In addition, there are other people here who are working on the project, representatives of Kronos, and in the event there are any questions, they stand ready to advise the board on whatever truthful answers you're looking for. Basically, Mr. Chairman, you've set forth that what's going on and that the applicant is Kronos, and that they're looking for a special permit and a variance for the approval of the tower at 900 Chelmsford Street, and the required for mounting 4 internally illuminated wall signs, 1 internally illuminated canopy sign, and 1 translucent sign that will go in the inside of the building. The buildings we're talking about are the Tower 1. If you're in the rear, the best place I can explain it would be if you're looking at Jarvis's Volkswagen and the Kia, it's right near there, across the street from that. And there's a Tower 1 and there's a Tower 2. And basically, the background for Kronos will be given to you by my colleague here, and except they're a very large corporation. They're an international corporation. They're one of the best-known corporations in their area of work and what they do. And they are employing, they're moving from Billerica and Chelmsford. They've employed a number of people in Lowell, and they're going to be continuing to be employing a lot of people. From what I understand, since they've moved in and are getting ready to move in, they've hired over 300 people to be working for them. The quality of the work is shown in what's on the board and what's on your computer, and what type of presentation has been given to you. The best way to explain it is, if you look at the tower, they're going to be putting the name Kronos on the far end where they're not located for work, and that would be facing Chelmsford. And they're going to be in addition to putting the name Kronos, they're going to be putting 2 other Kronos names and symbols on the other end of the project in Building 1 and Building 2, and they'll be doing some work in the interior of the building. There have been pre-existing signs there. This is not new. This is the old Wang Tower. There have been Verizon signs there. There have been Motorola signs, and they're way up on the top of the tower. None of these, the canopy sign will serve as a grand entrance to coming in to the Kronos side tower. There are 2 entrances that are dealing with. One that goes into Tower 1, one goes to Tower 2. The Tower 1 entrance and the building will be used exclusively by Kronos, its employees, and its customers. Tower 2, it will be occupied with 2 floors by Kronos, and it will be used by those people and by other tenants of the project. The lights are illuminated, the signs are illuminated, and again, with the application, there are photos of where the signs are going to be going, and the issues with respect to illumination, the time, all of that will be explained by the gentleman to my left. I've looked into the issue of whether or not it complies with the requirements of a special permit, and it does, and the reason we're here for a special permit is because these signs are illuminated and because the zoning ordinance indicates that a special permit is required. All of the requirements of a special permit are met. There is nothing here that by what has been presented to you, what's being built up is normal. It is like what's been built there before, and all the requirements of a special permit are met. The other issue is whether or not it's a variance, and the issue of the variance relates to one of the signs, and all of the three requirements for a variance are met in that owing to circumstances relating to the shape of the building, that a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve a substantial hardship to Kronos and to the owner of the building if they weren't allowed to put this up, because it's going to expand the Kronos name, the Kronos symbol, for such a long distance in the entire Lowell area that all it can do is enhance what's already a very profitable, very well-run, very well-respected building. And the relief that we're seeking for getting a variance is without any detriment to the public good. By granting the variance for these signs, no one's hurt. We're not derogating from anything, and we're not derogating from the intent and purpose of the bylaw, which is really spelled out in what's required to be given with the special permit. That basically are the three criteria for the variance are met, and the objections one might have with respect to the special permits are the surroundings are not affected, when it's not impairing any supply of light or electricity, it's not diminishing or impairing property values. By no means is it creating a nuisance, and all it's going to do is enhance a very good company and one of the largest companies in Lowell, and continue on with future growth. And you'll hear this from the gentleman on my left as to what is going to happen in the future. So therefore, because of the fact that we meet all the requirements of the special permit and the three requirements of the variance, there's nothing else, and because of what's been presented to you, I have nothing to speak of in terms of the law, and I feel that the other issues, how they're going to be lighted, when they're going to be lighted, can be best produced by this gentleman. So if I may stop talking and answer any questions, and I saw Mr. McCarthy smiling, so, you know, obviously that I've just made him happy. If there are any questions you have of me, or you want to hear the entire picture, and then both of us will be here to answer, I'll be glad to do it.
Just one quick question, I guess. Is Mr. Chason one of you gentlemen?
No, Brian Chason is from Anchorline Partners, and he's one of the owners of the building.
Brian Chason?
Yes.
Yeah. And you gentlemen represent?
Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Profit, and I'm the Senior Director of Global Real Estate with Kronos.
Okay.
My name is John Shenna. I'm with North Star Project and Real Estate Services. I'm the project manager for the entire construction.
Okay.
And my name is Brian Kursanski. I work with Design Communications. We would be the manufacturer of the signs, manufacturer and installer.
Okay, you'll be the manufacturer and installer?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my name is Travis Blake. I'm a design director at LLM Design, and we've been working with Anchorline for a number of years, really, on cross-point repositioning, rebranding, and handling all the exterior signage, graphics, and positioning.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate everyone introducing themselves, but since Mr. Chason was the one that filled out the application, I just wanted to see if he was, and it just said manager, so I wasn't sure exactly who
think
Mr.
Mr.
If Mr.
Chason
Chason was one of you people.
Is the manager for the owner of the building.
Yep.
And he's given the consent for Kronos to be here as the applicant for all of the permits.
Okay, great. Well, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Excellent.
Yep, thank you.
So Phil actually stole a lot of my thunder, so we can just dive right in, unless there are any specific questions that you guys have before we get started.
No, we'll let you walk through, and you can determine what you'd like to speak to, sure.
Absolutely. So just to kind of orient everyone, so we've got Route 3 right here, 495 and the Lowell connector, and then Cross Point is situated right here, just on the other side of the movie theater parking lot. So the 4 rooftop signage locations that we're looking at are 1 on top of Tower 3, and then 3 on top of Tower 1, 2 that face the Lowell connector and the 495 south exit, and then 1 that faces the Lowell connector facing downtown. And the grand entry that we talked about is right down here at the bottom, but we'll get into that in just a second. So this is the facade of the building that faces the Lowell connector and 495 south. So as you can see, we're going to be deactivating 2 of the LED downlights to accommodate 1 of the full logo signs. And as Phil mentioned, these will all be internally lit LED signs that will operate on the same lighting schedule as the rest of the facade lighting. Over here on top of the stairwell, we have 2 of the icon portion of the logo. So these will just be the orange and white icon itself. It won't be accompanied by the text. And then this again will face the connector, and the one on this side will face the connector towards downtown. And just for a scale reference, so the approved pre-existing cross-point sign, the letters are approximately 5 feet tall. The icon is approximately 9. The letters on this sign are 5 feet tall, and the icon is approximately 7. So all of the designs that we'll show you today are either at or very close to locations from pre-existing Motorola signage. Everything is a smaller scale or at that same scale. So this is Tower 3 facing towards Route 3. So this will be 1 internally lit LED sign that will face Route 3. Specifications are the same for this sign here. And this will be situated right in the center of Tower 3 facing the highway. And then on to the grand entry. So one of the challenging features of this particular part of Cross Point is the entry for Tower 2 and Tower 1 are directly next to each other. So to avoid confusion, one of the concessions from the ownership to Kronos during the leasing process was that they would get to create sort of this grand entry that would help to alleviate any confusion for people visiting the site. So for customers, clients, new employees who haven't been there before, it's a very clearly branded Kronos entry. And for anybody using Tower 2 and Tower 3, the entrance is right over here. So it serves as a little bit of wayfinding too to steer people in the correct direction. So this is the material that was referenced as the translucent vinyl. So basically this is printed translucent interior mounted vinyl that matches the Kronos brand in colors, and that allows light to permeate through. You can see through it, so it's not blocking any vision into or out of the space. And then the canopy sign that we spoke about is right here, and that is basically the same material and finish as the new Crosspoint canopy sign that we put in about a year and a half ago. So very same fit and finish, colors, scale, and everything. So those are basically the locations, and it's really, again, just to serve as a building identifier and to really announce that Kronos is part of Lowell and the Lowell community.
You said the size of the lettering was same as or slightly
Correct. So
larger
for
or smaller than the Motorola?
all slightly smaller. Nothing is larger than the existing Motorola signage. I believe the icons on the old Motorola sign, and I have the drawings from the building that we received. The icons for the Motorola with the big M, that was a 10-foot diameter circle. These are 9-foot diameter circles. Okay. So we made sure to keep everything under that scale to prevent any challenges.
And you mentioned, I know you have it up on the screen right now, the lights that point downwards.
Yes.
That you're removing 2 of those?
Correct. So those will be deactivated. There are actually, there's one right here just at the corner of the icon, and there's one a little bit further in. So it's spaced evenly according to this width here. So those will be deactivated so that they don't interfere with the Kronos signage.
Deactivated, okay. Okay. Okay, if that's it for your presentation, Do you have anything else, Mr. Nyman, you want to add? Because what we'll do next is open it up to the public, and then we'll move it to the board at that time. If there's any questions? Do you have anything else, Mr. Nyman, at this time?
Nothing else to add,
Okay.
I think.
So what we'll do is,
Everything.
Yeah.
And I shall wait for any questions or,
yeah, we'll open it up to the public first, then we'll move to the board.
thank you.
All right, sir? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, is anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Three, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions, but I just want to start by saying that in general, I think the package of aesthetics that have been placed on the building have been tremendously good to see as far as improving the visual impact of the building. So nice job so far. The first question is there a comprehensive plan for signage for the property? Did we have a Verizon sign recently come before us on the property? Am I correct with?
That I'm not sure of. Possibly Eris. I believe Verizon already has a sign on the Route 3 side of Tower 2. But I'm not sure of any other existing signage or applications.
So, on the Route 3 side of Tower 2, that's not in your package, right? I mean, you mentioned that we have a cross-point sign.
So that is, stand by one sec, right here. So unfortunately, it's a little bit different angle that we had to work with. So this is the Route 3 facing side. So there's a little jut out right at the top here. And this is where there was a 10-foot diameter, I believe it was 10-foot diameter Motorola circle. So this is much smaller than that, but still lives in the same space.
Getting back to, is there another sign besides Crosspoint and Kronos on the building? Is there any
So
other?
yes, so right here, actually, is it okay if I come up here to point it out? It's a little bit hard to see from back here. So there are two Crosspoint identifying signs on Tower 2. So there's one that faces the connector and one that faces in the direction of Route 3 here. Oh, thanks. And then on this side right here, there's a Verizon sign as well.
I'm sorry, where is the Verizon sign again?
The Verizon sign is right on the inside of Tower 2.
Correct, yep. So, that's it then, we just have Crosspoint, Verizon, and now Kronos as far as identifying signage on the building.
Yep, as far as I know, that's correct.
So my question is there a master plan for additional signage that we'll be looking at on the building at some point?
Not to my knowledge, we haven't talked about anything like that with building ownership. Nothing's been brought up, but to my knowledge, it's this and potentially one other one. I'd heard them mention that Aries might be putting in an application, but I haven't seen anything movement on that.
And this is the first time that we're seeing a change in the LED lighting on the system. So this is the first one that's kind of modifying that, breaking that, brand element. I'm a little surprised that you're choosing to do that. So it's, I think, 3 downlights that are being eliminated. Is that correct?
So there's actually 2 that are being, stand by, right here that will be taken out because unfortunately to get that signage to fit within there, there's no even gap between the lights to take them out or to situate it without taking.
Okay.
But the rest of them will all remain around and they'll all be operating on the same schedule as they were previously.
Okay. I'm glad your Kronos color scheme seems to work with the color scheme branding of the building. So that's kind of a nice feature that we
It
have
worked very
here.
well, especially at the grand entry. There is now,
Right.
this whole side has been opened up and there's orange cross bracing that's right
great.
there. So it's
It all kind of blends in well.
definitely
Nice.
works out well.
About that sign there,
Mhm.
you're choosing not to place all of the signage elements above the canopy. You're breaking that plane there.
That's correct. So with the Crosspoint sign that we installed, again, I think it was about a year and a half ago, the point of that Crosspoint logo breaks that same plane. So it's just a little bit more gives a little bit more depth to the sign overall. So I think it's just a nice way to have that sort of grand entryway.
Has there been anything through the winter with snow, ice, whatever dripping? Because you don't have any way of protecting or shedding that water.
Correct. So for the existing sign that's in place, there's been no damage to it that we're aware of. It also sits about, I want to say, 3-4 feet off of the facade of the building.
Okay.
And one thing that John actually just brought up too in the way of the signage master plan that you were just talking about, so their lease says that no one else will be able to put signage on the top of Tower 1.
Great. Good. Thank
So it's
you.
not going to get too crowded up there.
Good to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. The last one, where the original Wang sign was on that piece facing Route 3, you've chosen to locate the brand circle, but not the letters. So the letters kind of trail off to the side. Could you just explain why you're...
So are you talking about this facade right here?
Yes.
So basically, the letters are on there, and this is the same scale. It's unfortunately due to the perspective of the photo, but the scale and proportions are the same as this sign here. And the challenge that we had on this side is that that little jut out doesn't accommodate the logo to fit perfectly up within that.
That's too bad.
So off-centering it a little bit gives you a little bit more space for the logo, so it's not riding right on top of the windows.
Do we have any LED lights that are affected on that
Not
side?
on that side. So that side all faces residential towards Chelmsford. So my understanding is the only side that will be affected is this piece here. It's just these two components.
There aren't any lights on the side facing Route 3?
I don't believe so. I think it's all, I'm pretty sure, so this side,
There aren't any there.
yeah, I don't think there's anything on that side, or at least on Tower 3.
I should be more aware. I'm sorry. I should have.
No,
noticed
no
that.
worries. I'm pretty sure it all faces the other direction as far as I'm aware.
Well, I'm glad your Kronos logo color scheme fits in so well with the building, and nice job.
Hey, thank
I mean,
you.
The
Appreciate
graphics
it.
look beautiful.
Appreciate it.
I'm assuming it's all LED lighting that you're
That's
using.
correct, yep. And as I mentioned before, that's all going to operate on the same schedule as the rest of the building signage. So it'll all be woven into that same structure.
Great. Nice job. No
Thank
further questions. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so to Dennis's point on Tower 1,
Mhm.
you have, well, on your, yeah, it says numbers 2 and 3. Well, it's not up there.
That's
but-
correct. So on
Yeah.
if you look over here at the top of the stairwell, so that's where 2, and then the other side will be just around the
Right,
corner.
the other side is facing like towards Lowe's and
That's correct,
the
yep.
99. Yeah, nothing is facing at residential anyways. so
Exactly
it's-
correct.
It's all visibility to the exterior, away from any residential at all. Yeah.
Correct. And then from the
Yeah.
grand entry standpoint, so this faces the parking lot for the movie
Yep.
theater. So there's quite a bit of distance between those two.
Yeah, which is, I could understand why Dennis is asking, because people that live in Lowell and drive up and down Chelmsford or Stevens, you're kind of always looking at that front of the building all the
Sure.
time. You're really not seeing the back of it unless you're on the Lowell connector or Route 3.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very well put together presentation and package.
you.
Thank you very much. It's really, my main concern was the down illumination of the facade of the building, because that's just such a great feature of that building, especially when you're driving down the connector and looking at it. And my concern was that, you were taking up 3 spots at that, based on that, but you're telling me it's only going to be 2 now, so I think that's a little,
That's
That's
correct.
certainly
Yeah, we
way
try to
less money.
minimize the impact because we know that's a definite landmark almost, if you will, for
So,
city
but,
limits. We try
but,
to minimize the
other,
impact.
other than that, everything else, is great, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
I have no comments, Mr. Chairman.
You? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple comments, a few things that I wanted to say or ask have already been taken care of. But one thing is that I like, and I suppose there's probably wasn't room to do it anyway, but I like the fact that on the elevator or the stairway shaft, you didn't try to cram
Fill
the
it.
Kronos text
Right.
on both sides, and you just went with the logo there, which I think for people who have lived around this area long enough and are familiar with the move anyway, are familiar with that Kronos logo. But I'm glad you didn't try to cram text on those 2 sides. And I really like the entry. When I went out there yesterday, I had forgotten how far off the street that entrance is. So I really like the idea of the vinyl because there's just so much empty glass there that
There's a lot.
the vinyl, and that gets attached right to the glass, you said?
That's correct. So that's mounted directly from the inside to the glass, and it's,
Okay.
again, printed that translucent color to match the logo. So as sunlight shines through, it will also cast sort of that orange shadow out onto the floor. So it, again, enhances the branding in the lobby.
Yeah, so I think it looks good for the building, but also it makes sense for Kronos to have that, because when I drove by there Sunday, looking from the street, I could just see the Kronos logo on, it's probably the reception desk or just something inside the front door, but it was barely recognizable unless you went right up to the door. So,
Exactly. And then, as I was saying too, from a wayfinding standpoint, I think this is going to help direct people in the right tower.
yeah. And I also picked up on the random fact that the girders or the girders,
The cross bracing there, yep.
cross braces are matching and sort of draw you to that section of the towers as being the Kronos section. So, so again, I don't have any questions, just those two comments,
Great.
and best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Christine, the special permit, is that just to address the internally illumination?
Yes.
Okay. And the variances would be for the remaining 5 signs? Well, we're saying 4 signs plus the, what's the term I want to use? The ground floor, so you got the 3 on Tower 1, you got the 1 on Tower 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the ground floor for Tower 2, and then what's
The variance is for the sign that breaks the plane of the canopy.
Okay. All right. And I believe these gentlemen, and also the question that was asked, they addressed the reason for the variance, and the reason for the special permit is the illumination. So I'll echo everyone's comments from the board, and I appreciate everybody's input. Well done.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
It's nice to get a good presentation and documents. If only Mr. Chason was here, then we could have answered about the, how many signs could go up on all these towers, but this gentleman at least addressed Kronos for Tower 1, so that was good. So I believe the petitioners met the burden of both the special permit and the variance that's being requested. So we'll need to take 2 separate votes for the variance and 1 for the special permit. I don't think I heard anything about conditions from, or any other comments from any of the board members. So with that said, if we could take a vote first on the variance, and then we'll take one on the special permit, please. So could I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZB-2017-22, the petition of variance, the applicant is Kronos, the property located at 900 Chelmsford Street. The petition is seeking special permit and variance approval at 900 Chelmsford Street. The proposal consists of mounting 4 internally illuminated wall signs and 1 internally illuminated canopy sign and 1 printed translucent vinyl sign in the high-rise commercial zoning district. The proposed project requires a special permit and variance from zoning board of appeals under section 6.3 of the Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief required.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
Second motion.
Okay, did you get that, Christine? Yep, okay, could I have a roll call?
Chairman Bailey?
Approved.
Member Peck?
Approve.
Member Palia?
Approved.
Member Callahan?
Approved.
Member McCarthy?
Approve.
So, yeah, so Christine, if we just accept for the special permit, everything that was just read in for the variance, we don't need to reread the petition again, do we? Yep, okay.
The matter before us, ZB-2017-22, the petition, special permit. The applicant is Kronos, the property located at 900 Chelmsford Street, with the petitioner as mentioned before.
Second.
Chairman Bailey?
Approved.
Member Peck?
Approve?
Member Palia?
Approved.
Member Callahan?
Approved.
Member McCarthy?
Approve.
Okay, gentlemen, been approved for both special permit and variance. Wish you the
Thank you
best of luck
very
with the
much.
project. Yep,
Appreciate it.
thank you very much. Have a good evening. Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2017-20, petitions of variance. The applicant is Anthony Cardoret, and the property located at 175 Walker Street. And the petitioner is seeking a variance for a property located at 175 Walker Street in the traditional multifamily zoning district. The applicant is proposing to convert a single-family dwelling into a two-family dwelling unit and is requesting multiple variances under section 5.1 for usable open space per dwelling unit, lot area per dwelling unit, side yard setbacks, and parking under section 6.1, in addition to any other relief that is required by the City of Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner here? Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Anthony Cataret.
Yeah, can you tell me what your last name is?
No, you did it perfectly. Cataret. Yeah, that was impressive.
I must have mumbled through it.
Yeah,
Great.
we all make good.
Well,
Thanks.
if I didn't say it correctly, I was going to apologize. I've been known to do that before. So you're here for a variance for property at 175 Walker Street. So
Yes,
could you
yeah.
tell us about your petition, sir?
Right now, it's a building being used as a single family. It's quite large, and really we want to split it into two units because there's a space which is roughly about 1,000 square feet that's just open, and it would be better utilized as a two-family as it sits now.
So are you aware, I'll start with, did you get comments back from the city on the concerns that they had with the property?
Yes, the parking was one of the main issues, and then there was a usable open space issue where it might have interfered with I might not be saying this right, the green space. Those are the two concerns that they may be aware of.
So as far as the parking goes, if I look at the current space that's available, I guess, for parking, have you taken any measurements?
I have. So currently, the paved area that people can park on for this building is 27 feet, 8 inches, approximately, give or take an inch. And for as far as on the street, there's about 160 feet of just street parking, one resident parking spot allocated on the two streets because it's a corner lot. So there's one on Wash Street, and there would be one on Walker Street as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you planning on living there?
I don't personally plan on living there.
Yep.
For the two-unit building, section of the building, I would kind of want my mother to live there. I know it sounds a little funky, but she's getting a little older, and right now she's in a 3-story building. And this would be a lot easier for her.
Yep.
If it would be allowed.
Yep, okay. Yeah, and I asked the question, not that that's a requirement that you have to live in the building, but I just thought I would ask the
Okay,
question, because I know you just purchased the building, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Recently? Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else you want us to tell us about the petition?
Nothing in addition to what I already said. This is the first time
Okay,
I've ever
yeah.
asked for a variance, but
Yeah, so we received, a site plan, and there's an explanation of the variances or the relief that you're seeking. You also wrote a letter explaining the property. So if you have nothing else at this point, what we'll do is we'll open it up to the public,
Okay,
and then we'll move it to the board for any questions that they may have.
okay, very
Okay,
good.
thank you, sir. Okay, going to move this to the public. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here that'd like to speak opposition? Yes, whoever wants to go up first, second or third, take a chance.
My name is Arlene Cameron, and I live at 15 Watt Street, which is adjacent to the piece of property.
Okay, so you're in that's a single, is that a single family?
We
you're
live in a single family,
Yep,
yes.
okay.
Okay, we just noticed that, I mean, that's a single-family home, it's very large, but the problem is that we're afraid that he's gonna turn it into a rooming house type situation, because it's in the college area, and that's what a lot of the houses are doing in this area right now. They're buying up the properties, splitting multiple 2 families into 4 or 6 families, and we don't think that it's getting very congested, okay? And also for the parking, we live on, we have off-street, I have to park on the street, I don't have a driveway. So in front of my house, I have 2 spaces, and with all the people that are already there, they're parking in front of our cars or behind our cars. They're parking in front of this particular property on Watt Street. The house next door to them is parking in the full frontal. They have like maybe 4 or 5, 6 cars out front, which is, not a big span. And across the street, there's also people that live in, it's a multifamily complex that the city owns. And those people have parking, but they're still parking on Watt Street. So they're parking across the street from us. So, the parking in that area is very congested. And I'm just concerned about who he's renting it to, if it's gonna be a 2-family, is it gonna be a family? My understanding, it might be college kids. If it's college kids, that means that there's gonna be more than 1 or 2 people living in there, I'm sure. So that's the only concern I have, is that if don't wanna turn it into a rooming house, but if there is a particular way that we're gonna know in the area that it's only gonna be so many people, it's better to have somebody living in the house than an empty piece of property, because that house can go up at any time.
Yep.
So that's my concerns.
So just so I'm straight, do you abut the property at the
Yes.
rear?
In the
Okay.
rear, yes, the front of the house is on Walker. We're the first house on Waugh, so yes, his backside,
Yep.
which is the vacant piece that he wants to put in for his mother-in-law, I guess.
Yeah.
When the people who owned it before us, we went away for a weekend, we came back, and there were 2 windows in the front on the side of our house, and 2 windows in the backyard that they put in when nobody was around. So that's how we knew it was gonna be an apartment for somebody, and he had people living in it, but there were college kids that were coming and going all the time. So, but right now, nobody's in it, so
Yep. And again, you're in a single family, correct?
we're in the single
Yep.
family. The
Okay.
house behind us is a single family, but there's 4 or 5 guys that lives in that one. That's what's happening.
Okay. Thank you very much for
Okay.
coming up. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am?
My name is Janice Hart, and I own the property at 183 Walker Street, which is across Waugh Street from this property that he's purchasing. I agree that it's a very large home.
Yep.
It's very similar to the home that I own, and our home is a 3-family. However, it's all family that lives in my home.
Yep.
We don't have any rentals. So my sister lives downstairs, I live upstairs, and my son lives in the rear apartment. My concern is also the fact that there's a possibility he would like to rent to college students
Yep.
in the major part of the home. As Arlene mentioned, the parking on Waugh Street, we have off-street parking for my property, but the parking on Waugh Street is bumper-to-bumper cars in the evening from properties that don't even abut Waugh Street, but they park there. So for him to move 4 or more unrelated persons into that home with the possibility of them each coming with a car, in addition to his in-laws with their car, it would create a lot of parking problems for that street. You know, I agree that it's a large home, and it would make a wonderful two-family home if it were for families.
So are you on the opposite corner?
Yes,
Okay. And yours is a three-family?
mine is a three-family. It's two six-room apartments in the front,
Yep.
and in the back is a four-car garage with a four-room
Right.
apartment above.
That's why I wanted to
over it.
make sure. You have the four-car garage.
Yes.
You're on the opposite corner. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Anything else, ma'am?
no.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am?
My name is Joan Hamill, and I also live with my sister at 183 Walker Street. I have the apartment downstairs, she has the apartment upstairs, and I have the same concerns that they have as to who will be living in the main part of the house. If it's one family, then that's fine, but, you know, if you're gonna put more than one family in there, then, you know, it's potentially a car or two for each people, so the parking, now, there's no parking now. So I just don't know, you know, I don't want people end up parking in our driveway, which has happened in the past. Many times I've had to go out there and they just park right in front of your driveway because there's no place to park, you know, and so that's my concern
Okay. Great.
as to who will be living in the house.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir?
Good evening. James M. Cameron, 15 Wall Street. I just want to bring up one thing that my wife forgot to say. The property that Anthony had purchased, it's only 29 inches from our property line where he wants to make his in-law apartment. That was a beautiful home, and I wish Lowell would stop taking some of these homes and breaking them up. He wants to put students in, and I understand he owns other properties. For having forced engineering students in is what he's telling us. If that's going to happen, I like to see it stay by the law.
Yep.
That it's only engineering, you know, the university kids that are going to be in there and monitored. He sounds like a very nice landlord, from what I understand. I spent time with him Saturday. But building the place in back by our place as far as mother, that'd be great. But we heard this a few years back, and we had nothing but trouble. And the property next to his, I believe it's 171 Walker, it's a four-family. I walked around it the other day, and there's 5 gas meters now. So, and they have no parking whatsoever.
Correct.
But I'm not too sure. I didn't look at his other properties that he had, but he seems like a decent landlord. But I don't want him to not follow through if that's
Sure.
what's going to be the word of the law.
Yep.
You know, university students and someone's going to check on them.
Yep.
So, hard choice.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. All right, that portion of the public hearing is now closed, and we'll open it up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions for Anthony. Can you talk a little bit about the units themselves that you're looking to have? You're looking to have 2 apartments, and what would they consist of as far as rooms?
So yes, right now it's a 4-bedroom building. So one would be 4 bedrooms, and then the other would be 2, the 2 units. And so the 4-bedroom unit would be likely college students or a family. With that in mind, to maybe clear up some of the concerns about the parking, I do have other properties, and a lot of them are college students, and each college student doesn't really have a car because they walk to school, and that's sort of the purpose of being close to campus, is that they walk. And I'm not saying that this won't go to a family or college students. I'm not making that separation there. But I will say that no matter who goes in the unit, I understand that there is a parking issue and that 2 cars are allocated per unit. And I'm pretty strict about maintaining that to help the community. I get that too. I don't want to add to the nuisance of parking. So I'm not going to put 4 separate people there with 4 separate cars because that just wouldn't make any sense practically.
Well, I'm looking at image of the property. It's 2.5 stories.
Yes.
So,
Okay. No. I think just 2 stories.
well, there's a attic level, if you will.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
There's no bedrooms.
there's no bedrooms or anything. That's like a pull-down attic, and there's just
Okay, so would you be open to a condition that no additional bedrooms be built in the attic?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're looking at strictly 4 bedrooms in one unit, and then the other unit would be 2 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms, correct.
Okay. And what's keeping you from doing a 4th parking spot?
So
They have plenty of land to do it.
I considered that, and for me to do that, I would have to take away from some of the green space that's already there. And so it's sort of the balance of scales. I want to take away from some of the green space that's there to allow a car to meet the criteria, but then I'd take away from the green space, which otherwise could be used to enjoy the land. And there's a lot of parking on this piece. There's 160 feet of frontage minus the 27 feet.
Oh, I hear you. You obviously have plenty of on-street parking around your property, which would allow for an additional 5 spaces. I agree.
Yeah, I don't want to answer your question. I'd rather not take away from the space that they could use for a garden, a barbecue, or anything like that. Any kind of space that you would use to have fun outside, at least.
Sure, and you do have a nice retaining wall that kind of wraps around the property, so you'd have to be changing that, and you couldn't exactly have the parking space next to the other 3, because then you'd be in violation of the width of the parking driveway, so there's a lot of things that would go with adding that 4th spot.
There's a lot of nuances to that as well.
Okay, all right, and I kind of would like to see the parking not on Walker Street, because it's a beautiful front yard with those 2 beautiful trees on it, so kind of would like to, I understand, and you already have the on-street parking in theory, if no one else is using it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making a case that it's college students that are renting it potentially that don't even have cars.
That's, in my experience, yes. I don't want to say that every single college kid. In my experience, in my other buildings, the college kids, they don't have cars. If I have 10 college kids, maybe half of them might have a car.
Which is great, because you're right next to the campus, and so it's easy walking back and forth.
Yeah, that was sort of the point when I purchased the building.
There isn't a lot, Christine, on the variance. We're making, we're overlooking the fact that we're 800 square feet shy of the lot area for the dwelling unit, so we're pretty much, 99% there. We're overlooking a side yard setback minimum. Is that right? And then a front yard is almost there, and so the relief is not really that strong. So it really comes down to parking probably more than anything else.
Correct.
Okay, all right, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a couple more questions of Mr. Cataret. I was just kind of curious. How is the layout of the building going to be as far as the units are concerned? Are you doing the 4-bedroom in the front and the 2-bedroom in the back, or is that?
Exactly. So if you're looking from Wash Street, or if you're looking from Wash Street, on the right side, that is the 4-bedroom, and on the left side would be the 2-bedroom. And if you're looking at it, it kind of just looks like a giant old garage. They're almost separated in some sense, but yeah, that's exactly how it would be. 4 in the front if you're looking from Walker, and then the 2 in the back.
Okay.
The 2 bedrooms, I mean. Sorry.
And I didn't get a chance to kind of peek back there, but are they they're connected? Is there like, you're planning on some form of connection between the units or a breezeway or something, or are you doing any?
Right now, they're fluid. They move into each other, and I would just be literally putting up a wall and making a separate unit. So I'm not changing the structure of the building in the sense of the outline of the building. I would literally just be putting up a wall and creating the separate 2 bedrooms on one side.
So but there's a separate entrance and exit?
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Yeah, yes.
For each
There's
unit?
an existing separate entrance
Okay.
to each portion of the building, correct?
And the front, for the 4-bedroom unit, there's going to be a front and a back?
Yeah, so for the, exactly. So for the 4-bedroom, there's already a front and a side entrance. So there's two exit entrances.
Okay. The other concern,
three,
I mean,
actually,
I know
sorry.
you said you measured out the parking, and it's just 27 feet 8 inches. I mean, you try to measure them out separately, just
I didn't catch
how
that.
are you going to break that down? And I think
For how I'll break that down for the
for the 3, just like evenly.
for the 3
between the
units,
3.
I mean, I guess I would divide it up, and I'd maybe make one maybe for a compact car if that was allowed.
So I think there's going to be, it's an 8 feet width that minimum width requirements, so.
So I could easily break them into 3.
So you kind of fit in, at least for those 3 spots, you barely fit in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I understand, I share the sentiments of the neighborhood, the neighbors and their concerns, and, but, I mean, if you're gonna rent it out, I mean, you can only do with what the market is, and the college students in that area, unfortunately, probably the main focus, I guess.
It would
and
be.
Yes, as you said, that the chances are that likelihood that many of them won't have vehicles, but of course, I can understand the concern of that is later on with people coming up and showing up and kind of hanging out.
Yes, and to speak of my character and my existing, rental business, I have no intentions of being a detriment to the community. I'd rather help the community, and if that means, respecting the neighbors by making sure that there's not a bunch of cars in there after a certain hour. If I get complaints, I communicate that to my tenants, and they understand that, and I understand that, and I try to help everyone. I'm not going to allow a bunch of parties and stuff like that. I just don't do that.
Yep.
And honestly, I just want to be good for business.
I believe that, Mr. Cartwright. No, that wasn't insinuating anything. I believe that's the case there. Just echoing some of the concerns that were there.
No, it's a legit concern.
I'm sure. I know you're very well aware of that, and I know you're going to do I'm sure you're going to do a very well job to ease those concerns as much as possible with your tenants. So, all right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I see this home, it's on a nice lot, it's on a sizable lot. So the conversion from a single to a 2-family would make sense. I also understand the concerns of the neighbors, and Mr. Carteretti seems like a nice guy. He seems very open-minded. I'm sure if there are any concerns with, people parking when they're not supposed to, or just an abundance of unauthorized parking, he would probably help address that issue. And it does seem like Mr. Carteretti would help also screen, make sure that he has appropriate tenants for the neighborhood. Like he said, he's not trying to be a burden on the community. He's just a guy trying to rent our property and make some money. But hopefully, and you are open to the neighbors
100%.
speaking with you, like if there's any
100%.
major concerns.
If anyone ever has a problem, I'll address it and take care of it and make sure everyone's happy. That's not my intention to cause anyone's suffering, so to speak.
So like I said, Mr. Chairman, this neighborhood's full of multi-family units, so it makes sense to me. So hopefully everything works out. Wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you, Van. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few comments, but I have a question, Christine, and I don't know if you can answer it. What is the city's rule on the number of unrelated persons in a single, I guess, I mean, the reason why I'm asking is I suppose the building as it currently stands could just be filled with 6 college students, except for the fact that the city has a limit on unrelated.
Not more than 3,
It's not more than 3.
correct.
Okay. So the front part of the house, if it's a 4-bedroom, technically couldn't be.
4 individual college students that are unrelated.
Right.
We couldn't.
So how is that enforced? Is it enforced like it is in Boston, where every late summer or fall, the city will actually go into Alston, Brighton, and kind of inspect as many units as they can to see who's moving in and out? Do we do that in Lowell?
We do have annual rental inspections. Short of checking IDs, it is hard to enforce. But usually what inspectional services looks out for is more of a rooming house situation where it's individual locked doors, which is not allowed, and actually isn't allowed in this district at all. So this applicant couldn't come back before this board for a special permit for that. So it is difficult to enforce, but we do often rely on neighbors to keep us informed. And typically, if the house is in good standing order in terms of code, we don't kick people out, but we do try to work with landlords, and I know our building commissioner does as well, to try to spread the message.
So I think one of the neighbors mentioned earlier that prior to, and again, some of this will be prior to your purchase of the home, but that it was being used as a rental property for college students. So it was a, okay. I think that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, no, she's correct. A lot of, in my experience, a lot of people, they do that. They fill buildings with college kids, and each kid has his own unit, and there's a locked door. And I've gone into houses with the intention to purchase them, and there's a locked door with a key. I'm not doing that. And to address your concern about 3 people per unit, that was something that I thought of. And you know, if it means that I would have to make 2, 3 units, I mean, I'd be willing to do that too if it satisfies your concerns at all too. But that's what my intentions to lock.
So that was going to be one of my questions too. I know someone else asked about how the structure itself would be divided into 2 2 separate homes. So the original home, because it looks like the backside, like you said, was either a garage or maybe it was a barn in the old days, or it was a printing shop. Okay. One point I was going to make is that is quite an eclectic neighborhood. I mean, I drove through there Sunday, but I also went to UMass Lowell, so I've even seen a change over. I mean, the university owns a couple of houses on Wilder, which are now offices for the university, and then there's a townhouse on Broadway, the red townhouses, and then there's the brick apartment building, and then there's some single-family, 2-family. Yours is a 3-family. So it's a very eclectic would be the word to describe the neighborhood, but I guess I'm not surprised there was a printing press there at one time. But so basically, to get back to what I was asking you, so the house is where you were hoping to make that a 4-bedroom.
So my intentions were, is to make it into a 4-bedroom. I do realize there's that restriction about 3. If I get just students, it would just be 3 separate students. You couldn't have more than that. So one thing I thought of was actually turning one of the bedrooms that's in the main house, but really, I wish I would have had a visual for that, and I can provide that for you guys at a later date. But it could be part of the 2-bedroom that I want to turn into, that separate 2-bedroom unit, to actually make it a 3-bedroom unit instead of a 2-bedroom unit. And that would just subtract 1 from that side, so they'd be 3 and 3. if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't know if we could, I don't know if that's a condition that we could make, that, that it's a two-family with 3 bedrooms in each.
I think it could be a condition, especially where he has expressed that he is going to rent to college students. However, if he chooses to move forward with a 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom, fair housing, if a family wants to rent, a 4 or 5 member family, he would maybe want to have a 4-bedroom.
Right.
So it's a,
Yeah, so the other, I guess, comments or questions I have are in regard to enforcement. I mean, I know in that area, the residential parking is, I think, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., which is to keep, commuting students from parking in the neighborhood all day. And if someone comes home and, finds a car in front of their home and there's a student on South Campus somewhere, they can't, you can call and have it towed, but it may not be towed right away. And I'm not sure what the enforcement is like over there. I'm sure it's spotty. It's probably the Lowell police, I would think, or maybe UMass Lowell helps out with parking enforcement. But it seems like there's a lot of parking in that area. I realize commencement was a week ago, so when I went by there yesterday, there was plenty of parking, but that's probably not the case in the winter or the spring. I don't know. I mean, I think, I'm leaning towards being in favor of it being divided into a 2-family, but a lot of the issues are a matter of enforcement and a matter of people from the neighborhood calling. Even the example that one of the residents gave of the fact that they live in a 3-family, well, I guess you're not always going to live in that 3-family. Eventually it could be sold, or someone may decide to move. But I don't know, kind of torn on this one.
I have every intention to enforce. If students end up living there, and if they do, which they likely could, I like having them feel protected, so that means surveillance. On my other property, I have a contract with Lowell Fleet, and if someone's not supposed to be parked there after certain hours, whether or not it's their friends or partiers, whatever, they're gone and they're towed. And that's just how it is, because not only is it good for me, but it's good for the community. That's how it naturally should be. And that's what I intend to do for this particular property as well.
And so one thing I guess I would maybe just ask of other members, or ask you, Christine, how, we often do a 6-month administrative review, but I don't know how we would do it in this instance, and if we came to find that there were issues with the property, I mean, what would we do? We would revert back to the single family and have the petitioner tear down the wall that separates the property, or if we were going to be that extreme about it?
I'd have no objection to that.
I guess we could do that. It might not be an immediate solution after 6 months. I mean, if he has tenants, they have rights too. So, but yeah, I guess you technically could do that.
Well, I didn't mean I would personally go there and tear the wall down, but I don't know. I guess I'll wait to hear if the chairman has any more comments or questions, and go from there. Thank you.
You can't speak, ma'am. So Christine, question I have for you. The petitioner said he measured the width of the parking area, correct?
Yeah, the paved area, yeah.
So did anybody from the city go out there and actually verify that the petitioner has the correct amount of space for 3 parking spots?
I did not go out and personally verify. I know that he was in contact with Judy, and at the time of handing off this petition,
Yep.
she confirmed all the information that we had, and that did include, so I just assumed that
Yeah.
she did verify that.
Because if I look at the parking area, it doesn't seem to be a defined, like, squared off section. It seems to be especially if you move towards the rear door.
Okay, yeah.
You seem to, the property seems to get lesser and lesser, and it's almost like if I looked at that, to me, it's gonna be a real tight fit to put 3 cars in there.
I can verify the number, measurement that I took was at the bottom, and I didn't think even to take a measurement from
So I have a concern about even if 3 cars can legally get in there based on the requirements of the parking.
Okay.
The other thing I'd probably look at is, never mind the width, but the depth, to ensure that, I think, again, maybe 2 could get in there, so then there's a sidewalk on that side of the street, isn't there? I'm pretty sure. So the cars shouldn't be blocking the sidewalk. Like I say, I think maybe 2 can get in there, but a third one, I'm not really sure of. So I'm not convinced that you have 3 parking spots to begin with. That's why I wanted to ask the city if they actually went out and defined that. Second question I guess I have for you, Christine, is on the city parking stickers. This property has 2?
I thought 1, you have 2?
I was just going off, there's signs on both sides of the street. I'm going off what my surveyor.
I mean, I only saw
put
one
together.
sign up, and that was on, not Walker, but what's the name of the street? Waugh Street. I saw one there. I don't see one on Walker Street.
Okay,
So-
I can verify that. I was just going off what the.
So does a corner lot, are they eligible for one? Is every residence only eligible for 1 spot, or how does that work?
That's my understanding, and you apply annually with the parking department?
Yep.
But if he says yes too, I'd have to check our records, which I could do fairly easily.
Okay.
But my understanding is that the property, he has 1. That was my understanding.
So, ma'am, could you come up to the podium? I'm just going to ask you a question. You can't, no discussion with me. Do you have residential parking stickers?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, how many do you have?
How many do we, on the cars? On our cars?
No. Do you have,
Car, my sister's car, my brother-in-law's car, my son's car, my niece's car.
do you have the signs posted on your property?
I do not,
You don't have any residential sticker parking?
no.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, if this gentleman has 2, I don't know if that's,
Well, I'm confused. Are we talking about stickers in the car or the no parking placards?
I'm talking about the plackets.
Which my understanding is 1 per property. Stickers are different.
Okay, I'm talking about the plackets.
Okay, yeah. My
Sorry,
understanding is 1.
If I said stickers, I didn't mean that. Do you have any plackets?
Yes. I don't on my property, they do on theirs.
Okay, thank you. So you don't know if you think it's only 1 that's supposed to be allowed? Yeah, which I saw one on the side street,
Okay.
which I assume belongs to your property. Now, how it gets positioned, I'm not sure. It seems to be down the end of the street as opposed to being more towards like your back door.
See.
But we don't count that as meeting the requirements of the parking, correct?
No.
Correct, okay. So this property only has at the most is three parking spots for a 2-family, which is still 1 short, even though you got the placket.
That's correct.
Now, this room in back, now, I know I saw a document that went back many, many years ago. It's always been a single family, so if there was some type of business operating out of there, I don't want to get into the long story and how long that ago it was, but when I hear something about machines and I think of chemicals and stuff, I'd have a big concern with that. I'm assuming you had a home inspection done?
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
So I have concerns about the parking for the building. Even though it's zoned TMF, there are quite a few, and I know your neighbor has a single family. There are quite a few single families in the neighborhood. And whether you rent to college students or 2 families, that's not in our control, and I'm not going to challenge your honesty, but I don't know what you're gonna do in the future. I have no idea if it's gonna be families. The parking is definitely a burden over there, there's no doubt about that. I think that's the biggest challenge for me for granting an approval for this property. But yet, if I look at the size of the gross area of that building, it's very similar to some other properties that are two-family, at least two-family in the area. So it's almost as though if the property had met, and I know Dennis asked you a question about adding on maybe some space for additional parking. You talked about the green space. Now, I appreciate the answer, and I'm sure Dennis did as far as green space goes, because obviously, if you had two families in there, you'd like to have some place for the family to go out and enjoy it, because they're not gonna do anything out in the rear of the property.
It's exactly
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
The rear is not very.
So one could argue that you have a challenge based on the conditions of the property of meeting the two-family requirements. I mean, one could argue that, but I think, you know, these residents showing up this evening, you know, voice their concerns. There doesn't seem to be any bad blood here that, you know, they're totally against it, but I recognize what their concerns are. I mean, this woman here, first thing I noticed, she had 4 garages. And for the size of unit that she has and a number of people in there, I said, you know, thumbs up, at least she meets it. Then you got a direct abutter that's in a single family that has no off-street parking, correct? So I understand that. But I'm sure maybe the zoning changed over time for that area. And I know there's plenty of multis, so it's not like I'm against the multifamily. I just have a lot of challenges around the parking. Because if you don't have the 3, now you're down to 2. And we're talking about, and I don't care if there's students or no students, you have your own control of that. I don't know what you're gonna do. So I for one would like to continue it and have that parking area measured out by the city and see if it meets the requirements for the parking spaces. If you're, would entertain that. Now, there might be other members of the board that feel differently, and I'm gonna give them an opportunity to speak on it, but that's my biggest concern going in so far, is the parking.
Okay.
And it's because of that area.
Yeah.
It's obviously highly condensed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I know that property to your left, facing your home, facing your home, the property to the right, I forget if that's a 3-family or a 4-family, but, yeah, 5-family, yeah. I didn't even know where the parking was, but that's not for me to be concerned with. It's just, I don't want to overburden the area more with parking.
Neither do I.
And I appreciate your comments about students with no cars. But I can't control who you're gonna rent to. So that's my comments. Any other board members have anything they wanna add or subtract?
Through Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that I'd be interested in entertaining a condition, if this were to go forward, that we make a condition that no more than 3 college students inhabit either unit at any one time. With that being said, that could be up to 6 college student bedrooms, which would be up to 6 cars if each one had a car, or even more if the college students were a couple and the couple had cars. So it could be more than 6 cars at that site, which, if you only have 3 off-street parking spaces, I still think the parking, you have the land to do more parking, and you even have the green space to still have parking and have the adequate green space. So I think you owe it to the neighborhood to be doing something about it, frankly, my opinion. Especially if you're interested in renting to college students with that many in the house. I think 3 spaces is not being fair to the neighbors, in my opinion. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments?
My only concern with that would be how to enforce it. I mean, we're gonna check every one of his tenants, see if they're going to school or not. You can't, that would be my only concern with that. I mean, nothing against what Dennis has proposed, but that'll be difficult, very, very difficult to enforce as far as I'm concerned. But I would welcome the continuance, as you said, Mr. Chairman. I think the parking needs to be looked into more in depth, so that's my opinion. Thanks.
I was just going to say, I think even though it is in the zoning code not to have more than 3 people, it would give us extra teeth if it was a condition, maybe not to have college students, but to reinforce that we don't want more than 3 unrelated people in each unit. So it sort of satisfies. Because I think Member Callahan is right. We already have a hard time enforcing the relationship between people in a home, to then have to figure out whether or not they're actually students. Are they current students? Are they on leave? It just adds to that.
Yes, Mike?
Well, and I'll just add, I mean, right, if we were talking about this application anywhere else but here or near North Campus, we would just be talking about a two-family that's short 1 parking space once we verify how much space there really is off the street. And I mean, even at this location, we don't know, and nobody knows where they're gonna be one year from now or 5 years from now, who's gonna be living there and who isn't, who's gonna be living in this property or across the street or down the block. So, I mean, I think maybe if we do, I'm in favor of the chairman's suggestion that it be continued and we have a clear picture of how much off-street space is really there, and then whether a 4th space could be added off the street if the applicant works with his surveyor to look into that. And then, should we eventually approve the petition, I would still be asking for a 6-month review, and however we decide that would look, again, without me going out there and knocking down the wall between the 2 units. But thank you.
Okay. Right. So, anybody in opposition not continuing this? Okay. What's that? Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to get there. So, Christine, if we're going to, I'll be coming back to you, sir. If we do the continuance, one would be for the parking spots to be defined, if there actually are 3. And then also, if you could, you or someone look into the plackets.
Yes.
How many are under possession for this property? So where we're at, I think you've heard the discussion between the board members. We would like, as a board, to continue this for the next meeting, which would be, what was it, June 12th? Was that the, so that we can get a fair assessment on the amount of parking that you meet the requirements, or I should say, how many parking spots you legally have off-site.
Okay.
We're also going to have the city look into how many placards are assigned to that property.
Okay, agreed.
And then, once we get a report back from the city, hopefully before our meeting on the 12th, if you agree to this, then we'll reconvene again and talk about what the city came back with for the 2 questions that the board had. And then, based on those answers, we'll continue the meeting. And I think you've heard some of the comments from the board. You've heard some comments from your neighbors. And we'll reconvene. So before we can do that, I need to understand, are you open to continue
Yes,
to the
absolutely.
next meeting?
Yes.
You also have the opportunity to go for a vote tonight if you want to.
No, let's all be in agreement, so yeah, we can continue. I'd agree to that.
Okay, great. All right, so could I have a motion, please, to continue?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, I make a motion to continue to our next meeting on June 12th.
Could I have a second?
Second?
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey?
Continue to June 12th.
Member Peck?
Continue.
Member Palia?
Continue to June 12th.
Member Callahan?
Continue to June 12th.
Member McCarthy?
Continue to June 12th.
Okay, sir. So we'll see you on June 12th. If you have any questions at all, he can certainly contact you, Christine. If anything comes up that you want to discuss with Christine or her department, that's open to you. So we'll see you on June 12th.
All right, see you. Thank you.
Yep. And for the public that was here this evening, there won't be another notice in the paper regarding this, just so you know. So next meeting will be June 12th for this, if you want to attend. Yes, yep. Okay, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, our next order of business is other business. Minutes for approval from the May 8th, 2017 meeting. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please, for approval?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, for the minutes of May 8th, I make a motion to approve them.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey?
Approved.
Member Peck?
Approve.
Member Palia?
Approved.
Member Callahan?
Approved.
Member McCarthy?
Approve.
Okay. So for about the 8th time, I'll say next meeting is June 12th. See, there we go. June 12th. And do you have any handouts this evening?
I do.
Okay.
I'll wait till we're...
Okay. All right. So could I have a motion to adjourn?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
So moved.